Where the soul vibrates with fear, life comes to a standstill. You feel something in the center of your body that you can't quite name, without a logical explanation. A fear that seems to come out of nowhere. Constant alertness, even when everything seems fine. Your body switches to survival mode, and you don't understand why. Deep within your body lies a secret, known in ancient traditions as the place where soul and body meet. There on the floor is a kind of programming recorded, one that doesn't belong to you. It's a frequency of fear, inherited from your predecessors. Generations who have experienced severe trauma, grave loss, and extreme threats have left vibrational traces in your nervous system, as if they were your own experiences. You live with the fears of people who are no longer with you. But there is a way to separate what is truly yours from what you inherited. A way to dissolve this ancestral programming and finally discover what it's like to live at your original frequency. What you've just realized is the manifestation of one of the most hidden blockages in the human body. In fact, there's a secret map where unprocessed experiences crystallize in certain areas, creating silent patterns that work for decades without you ever noticing. This muscle isn't located in the floor, the deepest muscle in your body that connects your spine to your feet, and which esoteric traditions have identified as the place where life energy encounters the greatest resistance. This isn't an ordinary blockage that can be released with stress or massage. It's a complex vibrational structure that combines cellular memory, altered neural patterns, and epigenetic inheritance. The ground receives him as an antenna, absorbing and storing not only his own traumas, but also the fear and survival frequencies of his entire lineage. The Hermetic Masters knew that certain muscles store more than just physical strength. They bear imprints of the soul. They developed special techniques to access these old memory banks and dissolve programming that doesn't belong to a person's true being. At the end of this process, you will feel something you probably haven't felt in years, an inexplicable relief in the center of your body, as if an invisible burden had been lifted from you. Your breathing will naturally quicken. The chronic tension you weren't aware of will dissolve, and you'll discover for the first time what it's like to move through the world on your own terms. Frequency, not the echo of those who came before you. In the oldest traditions of Taoism, the ground is considered the dragon line, the secret channel through which the power of heaven descends to meet the power of the earth in the human body. The masters recognized that when this channel was blocked, it wasn't just a muscle that was strained. All connections between the spiritual and physical worlds were severed. The rulers of the Egyptian temples possessed even deeper knowledge. In hidden chambers, accessible only to initiates, they carefully mapped the places where the experiences of their ancestors were stored in the bodies of their descendants. The accepted ground was considered the void of the soul, the place where not only personal experiences were stored, but also the memories of the entire bloodline were physically anchored. They discovered something revolutionary. Certain muscle contractions were not the result of physical strain, but of emotional frequencies passed down through generations. A terrible person could carry within them the watchful mind of a great-grandfather who had experienced persecution, or the deep tension of a great-grandmother who had spent her life in constant uncertainty. These impressions would imprint themselves as vibrational codes in the muscles and silence the automatic reactions of the offspring. The essential lesson was clear. To restore the original flow of the soul, one must consciously separate what truly belongs to one's being from what was inherited as baggage from one's ancestors. Stephen Porges fundamentally changed our understanding of how the body responds to danger when he discovered that the nervous system has a specific response hierarchy. His polyvagal theory revealed that the psoas is directly connected to the vagus complex, the neural network that decides in milliseconds whether to fight, flee, or calm down. When this muscle contracts chronically, it's not just a mechanical problem. The nervous system is activated to detect threats, even if they no longer exist. Epigenetics has produced an even more surprising discovery. Researchers like Rachel Yehuda have shown that intense traumatic experiences can alter gender expression and create biochemical markers that are passed on to children and grandparents. These markers directly influence the development of the autonomic nervous system and cause the descending psoas muscle to respond to stimuli as if it carried the memory of ancestral trauma. Bessel van der Kolk demonstrated through neuroimaging studies that traumatic memories are physically stored in specific muscles, causing contractions that can persist for decades. The psoas, the deepest muscle directly connected to the emotional center of the brain, acts as a living archive of these unprocessed experiences. These encounters confirm something extraordinary. What the ancient masters called soul imprints has a genuine neurobiological basis. Your body carries information that doesn't originate from you, but shapes your reality as if it did. The release of the soul muscle occurs through 3 conscious access portals, each of which unlocks a specific level of ancestral programming. This is not a mechanical process where you physically manipulate the muscle. It's a vibrational dialogue between your current consciousness and the frequencies stored in your psoas for generations. The first approach is to recognize the inherited frequency. Make yourself comfortable and place one hand on your chest and the other on your lower leg. Breathe naturally and focus your attention on the deep core of your body, where the psoas stretches from the spine to the feet. What you're looking for isn't ordinary muscle pain. It's a specific sensation of energetic density, as if a taut string were running through the center of your body. The difference is crucial. Muscle tension caused by physical exertion has clear characteristics. It responds to movement and calms down over time. The original programming in the psoas feels completely different, more like a crystallized emotional contraction, a kind of defensive posture that exists regardless of the current threat. When you experience this feeling, simply observe it without trying to change it. Ask yourself internally if this tension originates from within. Often the answer comes as a clear intuition, a feeling that what you feel has a quality that isn't truly yours, as if it were the echo of something ancient pulsing in your presence. This conscious recognition is already the beginning of separation. By naming that there is something within you that hasn't arisen from your own experience, you create an inner space where the process of liberation can begin. The second gateway is primary dissolution breathing, an ancient technique that reaches the core where hereditary programming originated. Hold your hands in position and begin breathing completely differently, as if the air could flow directly to your sweat, expanding your entire core from the inside out. This is not the weak breathing of everyday life. It's a breath that rises deep from your chest and moves through your body in waves. As you breathe, imagine that you are consciously giving your heart muscle space without overexerting it, but rather giving pure presence to what has been compressed for so long. As you breathe, allow any tension that doesn't belong to you to naturally disappear, like a shadow disappearing in the sun. The secret lies in the intention behind the breath. Each breath wave transmits a specific message to your nervous system. It is safe to let go of what is not mine. I can trust my own frequency. The psoas responds to this vibrational communication because someone is finally speaking to it in a language it understands, not through pressure, but through conscious presence. Continue for a few minutes, focusing your attention on both your breath and the area where you felt the density. You may experience unusual sensations, hot flashes, or even emotions that seem to come out of nowhere. This is all part of the natural relaxation process. Layers of ancestral imprints dissolve as the being's muscles regain their original suppleness. Theron lived with a fear he couldn't explain. Even in moments of complete calm, he felt as if something invisible was constantly keeping him on alert. His body never fully relaxed. He was constantly tense inside, a rigidity that seemed to come out of nowhere. Doctors couldn't find anything, and therapists suggested breathing techniques, which, however, only helped temporarily. It wasn't until he began researching his family tree that he discovered something insightful. His grandfather suffered severe political persecution and lived in hiding for years. always ready to flee at the drop of a hat. His grandmother lost 3 children under traumatic circumstances and developed a state of constant hypervigilance to protect those left behind. Each generation of his descendants lived in a state of constant alert. Theron realized that his Soas wasn't responding to his own life. It was responding to the lives of those who had lived before him. When he applied the Triget protocol, something extraordinary happened. During the primal breathing exercises, he physically felt the tension begin to dissolve, as if invisible threads connecting him to the past were being severed piece by piece. Weeks later, those around him noticed a remarkable difference. Theron moved with a fluidity he had never experienced before. His presence radiated a quiet confidence, the ability to be fully present without the constant vigilance that characterized him. He finally separated his frequency from that of his ancestors. The greatest obstacle in this process is not the technical one. It's the primal fear that by releasing the original tension, one will lose one's ability to protect oneself or become extremely vulnerable. The mind interprets the release of the tension as a threat, because hypervigilance has long become a sense of security. If I release this tension, how do I know when real danger is imminent? How do I stay safe? This is where the essential change lies. Decoding Suze's ancestral programming doesn't take away his judgment. It calms him dramatically. Carrying alarm templates that aren't your own causes you to constantly react to phantom threats and waste life energy on false alarms. In reality, this diminishes your ability to recognize real dangers. The Su, free from inherited imprints, functions like a highly sensitive inner radar that can distinguish true intuition from programmed reactivity. You begin to respond to situations from your own wisdom, not from the traumatic echoes of your predecessors. The practical solution is to begin gradually. Use the protocol for only a few minutes during the first few days to allow your nervous system to adjust to the new calibration. Paradoxically, as you release chronic tension, your presence becomes stronger, your intuition clearer, and your ability to act more effectively. True protection doesn't come from hiring people. It comes from conscious flow. What you discovered today goes beyond a muscle relaxation technique. You have accessed an ancient code that can break widespread cycles of defensive programming and restore your body's original trust. The primal trust that constitutes your natural essence. Every time you apply the 3 gates, hereditary frequency recognition, primal breath and conscious return, you not only heal your own Soas, but also release entire lines of patterns that have developed over time. The soul muscle was never your enemy. It was a faithful guardian, absorbing and carrying your fears that were never yours, protecting your original being from the damage you were never meant to process. But now that you possess the vibrational keys to separate what is truly yours from what you inherited, you can teach your nervous system that these dangers no longer exist and that you can safely return to your natural flow. Rumi wrote something that speaks to the essence of this transformation. The wound is the place where the light enters you. The Soas, which carried the tension of the ancestors, has become the door through which new freedom can emerge. When you consciously acknowledge the imprints that aren't yours, you create space for your true being to finally breathe. When you release inherited constraints, your life force energizes the flow that was always meant for you. There's something deeply sacred about realizing that you no longer have to endure the dangers of your predecessors. And there's something even more sacred about this discovery. When you consciously release these frequencies, you not only heal yourself, but you also stop the transmission of these patterns to your descendants. The fear you release today is a burden future generations will never have to bear. If this video resonates with you, like the channel, subscribe, and activate notifications. This way we can expand this ancient knowledge even further and reach those who are ready to awaken. I would love to hear how you feel the liberation in your soul muscle. Write in the comments. I'm dissolving ancestral fear and regaining my original frequency. This affirmation directly activates the protocol you just learned. Share this video with someone you know who suffers from unexplained anxiety. and needs to realize that not all the fears we feel are actually our own. And don't stop there. Click on the screen and enjoy another transformative video on the channel. This is the third step of an initiative journey through the 12 somatic notes, releasing every point where trauma has crystallized. Remember that where the soul once vibrated with fear, it can now vibrate with freedom. Your post-state no longer holds on to the past of others, but anchors the future that is yours.